Hi, folks, and welcome. I'm Dan McDermott. This is Google Plus Week, our unofficial look at the world's coolest social network, Google Plus. Joining me is a Google Plus Hangout. Welcome, guys. Good to have all of you aboard. We've got a whole bunch of folks there from all over the world. And we're going to talk first. First of all, we're going to go to some exciting new features. At least I think they're exciting. We have some mixed opinions, though, which is good. We're going to discuss it. First up, I just want to let you know that you can call the show. If you can't get in the Hangout, it's usually full most of the time. You can call us at the number on the screen now, 818-688-6625. That's 818-688-6625. You can give us a call and you come in audio if you can't get in the Hangout. We can have up to 50 people in the audio section and 10 people in the Google Hangout. So anyway, let's get to our first topic, which is new features on Plus. We found out about 3 new things. They've been steadily improving. It's still in beta, of course, but it's an open beta now. But the new topics are a What's Hot feature, which lets you see what posts are trendy at the moment, to use a Twitter term, trending, what is being shared or discussed, hot topic. Another one is called Ripples, which is a tracking mechanism where you can see if you post something on Google Plus and then a prisoner buddy of mine shares it and then 6 people share it from there, etc., then you can sort of see a graph. And the third feature is the Creative Kit. You may have noticed a number of people have a Halloween-themed picture. Mine is pretty scary, and because I'm not very good at that sort of thing. But you don't have to be good. You don't have to have any talent. I like features like that where you don't actually have to have any talent. But it lets you edit pictures. They've incorporated some new photo editing things, and for Halloween, you can add lightning and ghouly eyes and fangs, etc. And some celebrities have done this. I think there are fangs on Britney Spears' picture. And several of the Google executives, the top brass, have done it. Larry Page and Vic. So that's cool. I think bring it on, more the merrier. I like the What's Hot feature. In theory, although in practicality it doesn't seem to be that useful, because for those of us who follow a lot of folks, you're seeing things you've already seen in your stream. Might be more useful to someone who's brand new, and I think a lot of the things they're trying to do are to cater to new folks who come in, the soccer moms who are on Facebook and the grandparents, etc., who are kind of trying to figure out the new service out. And so Ripples is, I guess, if you want to see how your hot post, something went viral that you did, you can kind of watch all the different directions it went in the sharing. And then the Creative Kit is just fun. It's just a way, I guess it's fun like the Halloween thing, but also it's a way to make it easy for you when you have if you have an Android phone, then every picture you take automatically uploads to Google Plus. I think that's a setting you can choose. And then once they're up there, you can edit them quickly, and you don't need another editor. It's just sort of a one-stop shop from the time you take a picture on your phone to the time you can edit it on Plus and then share it with your friends. It just makes it a seamless process. So that's the pro. But I think, in fact, I'm going to go now. I think, let's see. I think Harold Carey has taken full advantage of the Creative Kit with his picture there. And that's pretty. He looks a little rough. Looks like he had a few beers last night. But let me go to Alan, and Alan, you have a different take on some of these features. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, first of all, you have to realize these 3 features are kick-ass features, to be honest. It's great to see them. It's clear Google's put in a lot of work, and they've got some really good stuff going with it. I think the biggest problem with all 3 of them is, in some ways, it's perception, and in some ways, it's not quite enough. They don't quite have it there. So, you pointed out one of the biggest problems with the What's Hot feature right now is that it's kind of like we're in an echo chamber. Right now, the last time I looked at the What's Hot, every single one was either an animated GIF, and sometimes not very clever animated GIFs, or they were people saying, reshare this so we can see exactly what ripples look like. And you're kind of getting the point, you're kind of beginning to wonder, well, what is this really going to be for? The ripples, in some ways it's very clever, it's very pretty, There's a lot of looking at it and going, hey, this is really kind of cool, but you kind of wonder, well, why did Google have to make this? And then you start poking around and you say, hey, wait a minute, this should be something that you should be able to get using the Google API, but you can't right now because they're not providing that information. The ripples are exactly the sort of thing that Google made popular with their mashups, with their other stuff and their other APIs, and they kind of dropped the ball here. And this goes back to what we've been talking about for the past couple of weeks with Yegi's letter about Google Plus not being a platform, and so forth. Finally, the Creative Kit. I think the biggest downside I see to the Creative Kit right now is that all people are doing with it are making fancy Halloween masks. And I think the real power behind it is exactly what you brought out, that it's not just an easy way for you to slap on some other graphics. This is the foundation for a pretty powerful web-based graphics editor. And now that once you combine it with Android and the instant upload feature on Android or iOS, you can now upload, you can crop your photos, you can do some color fiddling. We're not talking GIMP or Photoshop here, but you've got some really, really good editing tools at your command now. And if they kind of focus on that and tell people, look, anybody can edit you can edit your photos now and easily share them, I think that they've leapfrogged ahead of what Facebook is offering on this front. And it's the first time I've been able to say that about their photo tool.
Well, don't you think, though, and I'm going to get Anthony in a second, but Alan, don't you think most of the pictures people share, a professional, if I take a picture, like I have a Canon 1D Mark IIN with, it's like $8,000 and stuff, I'm not going to use this to edit that. But if I take a shot on my Motorola Photon, which is just a great phone with a crappy camera, then that is the practical application for this sort of thing.
Exactly. This is not going to be what the serious photographers use. I don't expect it to be. They've got their own tools. But this is going to be what people who are used to doing scrapbooking at home, this is going to be people who would just normally share a photo and, hey, gee, I don't really want to share that person making a face in the background. I can now crop them out, and it's easy for them to do.
It's when grandma has a cute picture of the baby eating her first birthday cake and destroying the kitchen in the process, and she wants to take the red eye out. That's what it's for.
Except you can't do red eye removal yet.
Okay.
But that's
an
exactly
advanced
the
feature, maybe, that they haven't gotten around to doing yet.
Well, no, that's it. That's exactly the application. And then the follow-up question is, if they haven't put red eye removal in yet, where's the API to let somebody else write the tool to do it? And if they bring in the API into the photo editing, man, they've just knocked every other photo site out of the market.
Okay. Let me bring, where's Anthony here? Let me get Anthony here with his bright, shining face. Anthony, what are your thoughts on ripples?
The only thing I wanted to say about ripples is I like how if you have, say, one person that shares what you have to say, and then, it leaves, you can't see how many people are sharing it anymore. Well, before you couldn't. But if one person shares what I said, and then 20 people share what that person shared of what I said, I can see how deep it's going, even though, only one person shared what I said, but really, 21 people have seen what, 21 people have shared it totally, even though I can only see that one person has shared directly what I said from me.
Are there any metrics that you get? Anybody know this? Like I did someone asked when the Creative Kit first came out. The first question, I don't have it yet, and I said just F5 and you'll get it. If you don't have it now, you'll have it in a couple hours. And then the next one was, how did you do that Halloween picture with the fangs? And so I did a little video, and I uploaded it not to YouTube but to Google Plus. Actually, I mean, it was just as like public service, not to monetize it or anything. I just said do it. But I don't see any way you can see how many people, any view count or anything.
No.
Is there any way to do that?
Not currently. I mean, you could probably attach a web bug to it, but really right now there's still no way. It's kind of one of the things that Google put in a really cool looking tool that's insufficient. That's not what everyone, it's not what people are really looking for.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think it's Harold. You used it. What do you think of the Creative Kit?
Well, yeah, the Creative Kit was interesting to play with. It's really like having a mini Photoshop, so it was really useful. It has a lot of features in it. I wanted to mention about the other things. I have the opposite opinion of on the other ones, because I find it very useful, because unless a lot of people in here are on Google Plus all day long, and that's where it's not useful. But if you just come in the evening and you want to see what people are talking about, that's what the What's New is really useful. You can see what's going on in there, and you can mute the post in there that you don't like. If you see these animated GIFs and stuff, you can just mute them. But I spent a lot of time today looking at the What's New, because I was offline all the time. And the same thing and then we spent a whole bunch of time using the ripples today and watching, and it's very fascinating watching how, who all over the world and different people, how they all link together on one another. And what's really cool about the ripples, if you find a really big post, what I always do is go to What's New and find one that has a lot of post reshares, and then you go to ripples. There's a little button at the bottom corner that you hit play. When you hit that play button, it shows the ripple, how it formed, and that is so cool to watch that ripple, how it forms and goes all across all those shares.
Yeah, I think that's a neat feature, and I think that that gets into our next topic, which is these folks who are marketing social media, trying to. I love it when they say, we'll create a viral video for you. But, of course, by definition of a video, viral meaning it spreads rapidly. Justin Bieber is probably the first example I can think of where someone posts a video and it just goes crazy. They think it's hysterical. And you see these posts, some of these, like the animated GIF files you see sometimes, they'll just go crazy. And when I've had some it's really funny, because I'll sit here and I'll write something, like something I'm putting on Huffington Post that I've spent all day writing, and maybe 2 people will share it, and then I'll put some silly thing like the Photoshop. Some people thought it was real. The I Am the 1% with Will Smith. It was really funny. Basically, like a rewrite of the lyrics to the song for his show. And I don't know how many shares it got. A lot. And it's just funny, the things that people like.
It was on the top ones. It was on the What's New.
Yeah, it was. It's funny how these things, what people like. They just like general amusement, But that's great, because I think a lot of us are pontificating and intellectualizing and stuff on Plus, and that's great. But a lot to get real people in, you've got to have some fun. It should be fun as well. Whatever you want. But
the best part about it is, like I say, you can mute people. You can mute that post, and you'll never see it again. It just annoy you, and no matter who else reshares it, you'll never see it again.
That's not true. I have seen the same animated GIF that's been reshared about 20 times today. I've seen it 20 times, and I've muted it 20 times.
That's a brilliant idea, though. What he did say, like, I know you're saying it doesn't happen like that, but if you could just mute like an original, one original thing that just keeps on getting shared and not see it again, that'd be interesting.
Exactly, and part of the problem is that when we use the term reshare, we think of it as somebody has reshared another post. That's not always how people are doing reshares. Sometimes people go and reshare original content, even though it's visually the same to us. They're resharing the same link over and over and over again. And neither ripples nor muting nor what's hot takes that into account.
Well, I've shared stuff myself and discovered, like I'll see something on TechCrunch or Mashable or The Guardian or Drudge or whatever. Sometimes I'll discover it from the original site because I'm like a news junkie, right? And then I'll share it, and then I'll see Mike Elgin will pick it up, or Scoble or somebody, and then it goes viral from them because they have followers in the six figures, and so it's the same original thing but different. It enters it enters the Google Plus paradigm from different places and then grows from there.
Sure, but part of the problem is that Google isn't taking that into account as it looks at the ripples. So if you and I both reshare something off the Huffington Post website, for example, we're both putting in that link. Google Plus isn't treating it as the same thing. It's treating it as two different shares.
Because it's the same original story. I mean,
it's the same original story, but Google Plus doesn't treat it as the same original story.
Correct. But in essence, let's say we were watching. Let's say we were watching television when someone threw the shoe at President Bush, and it's all over the news. And I don't know why you're laughing, but I could see a number of people saying, "Oh my God, someone just threw a shoe at the president," and you can't. If you mute one person's post about that, you can't expect Google to realize to be that good and to say anyone who mentions anything about the shoe throwing at the president, mute that post. I mean, that's a lot to ask.
I can expect them to be that good. If I, to use that same example, if I tag both of that with the tag throw shoe, and I for some reason then later said that I want to block all occurrences of the tag throw shoe, I should be able to.
Well, at some point you have a personal responsibility to choose who's in your circles.
Well, yeah.
And if you have
I'm saying I'm tired
rabid
of listening
animated
to it.
gifers, animated GIF sharers.
Well, but here's the thing. The what's hot is showing me what's hot, not what I think will be hot. What's hot is not a personalized search. So we've actually got three topics here that are kind of overlapping that we're addressing. I think both what's hot and ripples are a good first step, but they're not really. I don't know. They're not really doing everything that Google can and should be doing.
I think it'd be interesting to see the genesis, and I'm gonna get Anthony get ready. I think it'd be interesting to see the genesis of that. Is it the haves have nots thing where they look at what Elgin and Scoble and if Tom Anderson says anything, then it bam but that's well learned because this stuff's fantastic.
It's actually interesting. I've heard a number of people so far say that the way they're best using what's hot is to determine what not to reshare, because it means that something's already been reshared a whole bunch of times and everyone in their circles have probably already seen it.
Yeah, I'll follow. I mean, I switch. I have my hardcore that you see on my profile, like the callers and my friends and acquaintances and stuff, and then I'll follow different things. Like I followed basically every Libyan on Google Plus for a week, right? During that hot story, because I'm a journalist, and so I'm on that. But then I'll the ones I don't interact with, who don't follow me back, whatever, I'll politely unfollow them. And then if some other hot story, if we're doing the Olympics in whatever country, I might follow some folks over there for a while. But I see a bunch of stuff, and I can kind of tell.
We can't hear you, Dan.
Can you hear me now?
Sound's gone.
Well, I'm.
What happened?
Am I muted? I guess somebody muted me. Okay, it's on the show's fine. It's just you guys couldn't hear me, which is probably a blessing. But so anyway, anyway, I just I forget I lost my train of thought. I know Anthony had something to say. Anthony.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, when I came.
I can't hear Anthony at all. Can you guys hear Anthony?
Somebody in here is muting people who's trying to talk. I don't know who it is.
It is Johnny Blaze.
Johnny Blaze, what's the deal, buddy?
All right, well, anyways.
Go ahead, Anthony.
When I was talking about being able to mute, entire things that are being like shared, like if you share something, the same thing from TechCrunch, and then Prisoner shares the same thing from TechCrunch, I don't expect Google to know that I want those two separate things to be, muted, but it would be nice if Prisoner, shared something from TechCrunch, and then someone shared what he said from TechCrunch. I wouldn't see what the person was sharing from Prisoner the second time because it was originally sourced from Prisoner. But if Dan shares independently something, I don't expect Google to. I mean, if anyone can do it, Google would be able to do it. But I don't expect Google to be able to figure out that I want it muted from the second main source.
Okay. Yeah. I think it's just some people figure it out better than others, and some get it. I tend to either, if I share something, I tend to share it if it's new and hot, because I'll typically see stuff from a feed when it first comes out, and then I might share it if I think it's good. But then people can choose to follow me or not, and know my taste and the kind of things. Sometimes I'll do silly stuff or substantive stuff, or I'll go on a rant. I do a lot of rants, but a lot of it is just who you circle, and you're a victim or a beneficiary of who you choose to put in your stream. Okay,
Yeah, here's
go
a
ahead.
sample of it I put up there if people haven't seen it.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's I got a lot of stuff going on here. That is a ripple.
That's a sample of the ripple diagram.
Okay, so that's the origin, I guess, was Mikey Ace.
Yes.
Yes.
But the person who shared it the most was Paul Yeager.
Actually, Paul Yeager didn't share it the most either. It was somebody he shared it to who shared it the most. If you zoom in on Paul Yeager, you'll see, if you hover over Paul Yeager, it'll say that he has one share and several dozen, or one immediate share and quite a few downstream shares.
Yeah, look at this here. You can see what he's talking about.
Yeah, you can see that it says one direct reshare. And it used to say how many shares further down the stream were as well. If you now click on his, or hover over his one direct reshare and zoom in on them, you can see a whole bunch more shares.
Cool. All right, so folks can they can check out how that works. And if you have a post that goes viral, or if you just want to see, how these things spread, then that's the way to do it. Okay, cool. All right, I want to hit on Hitwise came out with a survey that, or the numbers that said Google Plus traffic was up in October over September, which will come as a surprise to a lot of folks because a bunch of journalists who probably don't use Plus have been writing about how no one's using it, and but basically that it's still growing. It's growing fine. It's according to Vic and Sergey in their Web 2.0 PR interview. They said that it's exceeded their expectations, and I think it's great. I mean, anybody who's been using it since the beginning, as most of us have, knows that the traffic's up, and you're getting more people adding you, more people are using it, more people are. You're just seeing more of your friends that were, Facebook folks coming over, that sort of thing. But as we've said the whole time, it is definitely, is a different service. It's not a Facebook killer or Facebook replacement, although some folks may have canceled one. But it really is a whole different thing. So anyway, okay, let's. I guess. I don't even know how to pronounce. Has anyone figured out how to pronounce GNIP? Alan, did you have any luck? It's
the best I could figure out is that it's GNIP.
Is it GNIP, Melissa? Okay. Melissa is a direct descendant of an accomplished journalist, so she's half Halloweened out, and her sister's running around raising Cain. But anyway, so GNIP is a service that provides social networking data to different companies. It could be anything from when like the other night I was angry at Yahoo, and I was tweeting, and then their concierge service called me, and they're all over it because I was having more impact tweeting about it, having a mini Twitter rant, than I was having actually on the phone with the tech support guy. It took me an hour and 20 minutes. But that some of these services, that's what they'll do. They'll gather data from all the social networks. They want to know is, Borden or Procter and Gamble or Ford Motor Company wants to know what people are saying about their products. If they have a complaint or whatever, so their PR folks can go out and address it, or if they just want to see what people are thinking for their own, product development, or just to see how their image is doing. And so this company that charges money, and they have access, unlike Google, they have access to Twitter's raw data, and they said that their clients were clamoring for Google Plus data to find out what, when Alan or I go on some rant about some product, they want to know about it. And I think it's cool. It shows you that folks are trying to get this data. I think Clout, which is this pure stupid vanity site, where you get a score and you can determine how you stack up to others.
Stupid.
On a scale where Alan and I are 0 and Justin Bieber's 100, where do you stack? But anyway, so they've GNIP. Thanks again to Melissa for pointing out the pronunciation, making me look slightly less ignorant, at least on this issue. So they've added it. So that's I guess exciting news if you're a GNIP consumer of data. All right, so I want to get to a sad topic, and then we're going to get to some really controversial stuff about Oakland and a transparency report and some stuff like that. That was my tease to get everyone to stay through the sad topic. And I have Alan on here, who always brings us this sad news. This is a big deal. I remember when I used to teach computer programming to middle and mainly high school students, but some middle school students. And one of the topics, I taught an intro class and an advanced programming course. And one of the subjects that we would discuss was something called artificial intelligence. Alan, why don't you explain exactly what that is and why someone who was so important in that field, or why someone who has passed away was so important to artificial intelligence?
Well, I think everyone, when they think of artificial intelligence, they're going to think of robots taking over the world. But reality, artificial intelligence, as it's evolved since the 1950s, has really turned into the core of a lot of what we do and a lot of what we use computers for behind the scenes. I think everyone has heard of Siri at this point and has seen some of the wisecracks that she'll make on your new iPhone.
Just in case they haven't, Alan, just that is the new personal assistant that comes on the iPhone 4S. 4S. I almost said 4GS, but okay.
That's correct.
Let's go ahead. I'm sorry.
Underneath Siri, though, is a lot of artificial intelligence technology to try to understand what you're saying and what you mean when you're saying, and figure out exactly the correct course of action to act on those things. In the past week, we've seen reports about intelligent thermostats made by a bunch of people who helped design the first iPod. And what these intelligent thermostats are doing is they are monitoring when people are in the room and slowly learning your behavior to help keep your home temperature regulated in a way that is also economical. And all of this goes back to a field called artificial intelligence. And the name was coined by a gentleman named John McCarthy, who was a computing science professor at Stanford for quite a number of years. His work in artificial intelligence is quite well known, certainly within the AI community, although probably not nearly as well known outside of it. Probably something that, again, most computer scientists have heard of is a programming language called Lisp, which its critics will refer to as lots of idiotic, stupid parentheses. because of the number of parentheses found in the language, but which also has expressed a number of things, helped develop and design a number of things that are now found in some of the most modern programming languages that are used on the web. If you've heard of JavaScript, as part of its core, borrows essential concepts from Lisp. So this language that now dates back over 50 years, we see in some of the most modern languages that are in use today, and concepts that John McCarthy raised 50 years ago are now coming to life in some of the most innovative products that we're finding in our pockets and in our homes. So a great man, a great pioneer, the third pioneer in about 3 weeks to pass. And hopefully next week I won't be having a similar report.
Yeah, I think these great innovators, Steve Jobs obviously gets all the press. And this isn't quite similar, but I remember when Mother Teresa died right after Princess Diana died, and she never got her due because of that. But yeah, it's the old saying, these things happen in threes. Here we go. But yeah, this was fascinating, sort of typical of some of these engineer guys, unsung heroes who accomplish so much, but they don't have the fame and the glory because of the niche appeal. Although something's very important, like the guy who invents a great medical device. How many of those guys get on 60 Minutes? Not many. So, but yeah, that's great. So I'm happy to give him a few minutes on this program to be celebrated for his work. Okay, so next is a controversial thing. Google has what is called a transparency report. If anyone here wants to talk about this, let me know. I'm going to hit maybe, I don't know, Mike Phillips, you want in on this? But what Google does is they release a report of requests from governments to take things down or for information, that sort of thing, unless they get a stipulation from a judge that it has to be kept in secret or something, like a sealed warrant or something, if that exists in whatever country. And of course, they're juggling different rules in different countries. They had a well-publicized spat with China, and they ended up pulling out of China partially. But they produced this report, and it showed that a local police department requested that they remove a YouTube video of police brutality. Now, of alleged police brutality. And they also said that a police department asked that they take down a video that was alleged defamation of defaming the police. And they denied both requests. What's interesting, they weren't specific at all. And they said alleged defamation, but I don't think they said alleged police brutality. I think they just said police brutality. Now, this was from the previous 6 months, I guess, so it doesn't include this Oakland thing, which we're going to talk about next. But it's interesting because this gets into the whole, if Rodney King happened today and someone had a video on their phone, I guess at the time someone had a video camera or a film camera, I don't know, it was in the 80s, right? YouTube didn't exist. Al Gore was just beginning to create the internet, and but it's a different era now. These things go viral very quickly. So it's interesting that the police department would have the gall to ask this, and it's a good day that Google said no, we're not going to take this. This is a First Amendment issue. So let me go. Let me find Mike here. Mike, what do you think about this whole? What do you think about a police department asking? I guess it's fair for them to ask.
And that would be my response. There's nothing wrong with them asking if they think it's going to help them and whatever it is. I don't know. Did I freeze?
You're fine. It's okay. The problem's on my end.
I'm not sure about that. Having an issue on this end as well with 100% CPU. But I'm sympathetic in a lot of ways to law enforcement because they absolutely have their work cut out for them, and whatever they need to do within the law to improve their performance, to improve their effectiveness, then I can understand them trying to take advantage of that. Now, if we started getting into issues such as if the police departments ask you to take it down, you have to take it down, now we've got a problem, because that would be government censorship. But as long as they're merely asking them to remove those sort of things, I really don't have a problem with that. And even then, just like in the upcoming topic, if things are on a case-by-case basis. Blanket rules get you into a lot of trouble. So, yeah, it just depends on a case-by-case basis as to how things should be handled. There are definitely things that are out there that get on YouTube, that get into the social media, that are very destructive. But who's to say? Who's to say what you can and cannot say? Do we have a First Amendment? Do we not have a First Amendment? So as long as law enforcement, as long as whomever is asking, I think it's reasonable. Once they start ordering, or even worse, once they're empowered to order them to remove that content, then that is government censorship. And then the question becomes, where do you draw the line?
Yeah, I think just like Rodney King, if you can argue the guy didn't have a stellar background, he should have gotten out of the car, et cetera, but that's no excuse to just sit there and beat the hell out of the guy. 7 guys or whatever it was, just bam, bam, over, and of course they were acquitted in the criminal case, and but that would never have come to light but for the video being released on the media and everyone freaking out. So I think it's an important thing. Of course, it's illegal in some places. In Chicago, I think it's a felony to record police on duty. So if Rodney King happened in Chicago today and you videotaped it, you would be guilty of a felony for illegal wiretapping. If your phone records the audio and the video, as they all do, they can say you have to stop recording. They could charge you with a felony crime for taping illegal police brutality. It's outrageous, and I can't wait for this to be tested. But someone's brave enough to do it. Alan, what are your thoughts on this transparency report and this whole issue?
Well, it's interesting. Google has a long history on providing transparency and providing this sort of information. Probably about a decade ago, I don't know if people remember it at the time, about a decade ago, they were served with legal papers to remove any indexing of the secret documents of Scientology. And to comply with the court order, which they did, they removed all of the links that the Scientologists requested be removed, and all search results that returned them pointed people to another non-Google website that went and provided all of the documents. So Google was fully in compliance with the court order that they were given, and they were fully in compliance with the law requiring them to provide information about why the documents had to be removed. And in doing so, it pointed people at the documents. So the Scientologists didn't really get what they want. It was kind of a hollow victory. But Google made the first stand in what was going to become a very long series of battles about how they are trying to index all the web's content and how they were not going to be stopped providing information. It was one of the first landmarks in the modern age of the information wants to be free.
Yeah, I agree. So I think it's the shining example of their motto, oft praised, oft criticized, held in speculative scorn or ridicule. Do no evil. I think that they shine best in these sorts of cases. Okay, never want to shy from controversy on this program. Let's get to another hot topic, and that is police brutality by the Oakland, California Police Department. I've seen the video. If you look at the show notes for this program, I've got the video where you see basically what happened is the Occupy Oakland folks are there. Now I don't care what your view is. I have let me clarify this. I have a lot of sympathy and a lot of empathy for those folks. I don't agree with some of the official things from the original Occupy Wall Street movement, like a $20 minimum wage and some stuff, because I'd have to fire 20 people tomorrow if they did that, and probably shut down 2 newspapers, literally, if they did that. That's just not practical, and we can't compete with other countries if we did that. But I don't agree with everything that they've said. I completely agree with their anger at what they've done. The banks get all these bailouts and everything, and Main Street businesses are screwed, and nobody's got a job, and nobody has a clue what to do about it, but they can throw all the money at Wall Street they need to do because they're too big to fail. Well, damn it, so are we. Anyway, that said, I don't care where you stand on this. If you look at those videos, it is crystal clear that guy, patriotic American, cares about his country, was willing to go to Iraq and fight for his country, came here, a veteran, and he was standing there exercising his First Amendment freedoms after coming back from overseas, working in the U.S. military, defending our country and our interests. And so he's standing there, literally standing there, doing nothing, just arms at his side. And the police say, if you don't leave, then we're going to use chemical weapons against you, chemical dispersal, whatever, tear gas or something like that. And so they started shooting the tear gas into the crowd, and then everyone freaks out. One of the tear gas canisters, at this point, the first canister that hit him or near him, I would give the police the benefit of the doubt that it was unintentional. And anyway, he got knocked to the ground. So I haven't seen evidence. I could be wrong, but I haven't seen evidence that the first tear gas that hit him or near him was intentionally thrust at him. So he goes to the ground. Some other folks who are with him come back, come to him to aid, and they're standing next to him. And then you can see it, unless it's the most brilliant Steven Spielberg, George Lucas quality video editing I've ever seen. I don't think that's the case. A cop straight up shoots the chemical weapon gun directly at the guy and fractures his skull. And you've got this huge thing, well-deserved, and the mayor is, I guess the next day, people are freaking out. There's so many issues on this thing. There's so many issues about this. The first one is they said that the mayor really isn't in charge, that it's the county executive or whatever. It's like some counties have a strong mayor type of government, and some have an executive or a manager, and the elected folks are part-timers. This is a real argument for the people being able to elect who's ultimately responsible, who has hiring and firing power. Because in a lot of localities, they elect the mayor or the board of supervisors chairman, then the board or the council members, whatever, and then they hire an executive or a manager who actually runs the county and has a hiring and firing. But the elected people, the only person that they can actually fire usually is the municipal attorney, the chief executive or manager, and the clerk of the elected body. And then everyone else works for their appointed person. So they all have this escape. Oh, I'm not really running it. This guy's running it, but nobody elected him. So, and the argument for that is that these guys are part-time. You've got the guy who owns a shoe store in Front Royal here. We have the ice cream man. We have federal government employees, mayor. We have also retired folks. We got a guy who's a bed and breakfast owner. All sorts of people from the walks of life. Are they really trained? With 20 years and college degrees on how to run a municipality? So no, they hire someone to do it, and then they make kind of the overall guidance decisions. So anyway, that's a whole issue. And then the issue of just straight up these stormtroopers in Oakland who have a history of similar stuff in the past. I saw a post that was floating around that there was a case 07 or 09 or whatever, but this is just outrageous. And this gets the First Amendment, and I'm going to look it up because I had it. I'm going to look it up real quick and just say that the First Amendment to the United States Constitution says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the right of the people to peaceably to assemble. Congress shall make no law respecting the right of the people peaceably to assemble. And some guy standing still in a park protesting against special treatment for banks, and I can't think of any more peaceful type protest than that. And for it to have some cop shoot him in the head and fracture his skull with some chemical grenade just really is infuriating. This guy who put his life on the line so that those cops would have a right, to be peaceful and have a job, and then they shoot him in the head with a chemical weapon because he's standing still to make some kind of statement. Damn it, this is America, and he had every right to do that. I don't care if you agree with him. I don't care what he was saying. He has a right to say it and say it loud and peacefully make his point. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me go to the room here, and I'm done with my rant. And let me. Who wants to weigh in on this? Alan, you want to weigh in on this first, and then who else? Just tell me in the chat, please. I'm done with my rant, and who wants to weigh in on this? Alan, you want to weigh in on this?
Dan, first of all, I just wanted to let you know that those of us in the Hangout can't hear you.
I've been
because
muted.
we've been muted.
All right.
But that said, hi, good to hear you again, Dan. But yeah, I mean,
what do you think? Okay, let me. I'm not going to repeat everything I said. What are your thoughts on the cop shooting the guy, on the video suggesting that the cop shot the guy in the head with the chemical grenade or whatever?
I think there are a bunch of issues.
I can't hear you, Alan. Did you mute, or I don't see that?
Somebody muted me now. I can see we're having some chaos issues in the Hangout this evening. I think the biggest issue isn't so much what he did, but the chaos that surrounded covering up and dealing with it afterwards. I mean, you had the mayor insisting for a while that the police did nothing wrong when here is video showing that they did. You had the police department spokesperson saying that there were absolutely, positively no rubber bullets at all issued to police at the protest, when clearly there were. There's chaos, there's chaos, there's miscommunication, there's lack of control, and these are the sorts of problems. I apologize. I keep getting muted.
All right. All right. This is a disappointing situation. I'm gonna have to.
And Dan, you've now been muted by our mystery muter.
Yeah.
So
what I'm gonna have to.
All sorts of chaos today.
All right.
In the Hangouts.
And there's well, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to keep this. I guess I'm gonna. All right, I guess this shows the.
And Dan has once again been muted.
Yeah, I've been muted. Okay, what I'm gonna do is
muting us. Stop it.
All right, I'm gonna have to. I want to thank you guys for being in the Hangout. And what I'm gonna do is I'm sorry. I am. Anyway, I said what I got to say about that, and what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and conclude the program, and I guess we'll have to keep the Hangout by invitation only in the future. And it's a shame that some guys are trying not to say assholes on a family program, but I think that's appropriate in this case. So what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and say thank you very much, and I'll see you next week with a more controlled version of Google Plus Week. I'm Dan McDermott. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.